Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Just Make It Pretty podcast. This episode today is going to explore what it's like for women to claim leadership roles that maybe they never even expected to have, especially in male-dominated industries such as home building. And I have a guest that's going to talk today about her career pivots, how self-belief has really been something that has impacted her, how she's worked through different things, how mentorship has affected her, how being a working mother has been. And it's just all the internal work required to sit confidently in at tables where you never maybe had felt qualified for before. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic. This is something that's close to my heart and something that I'm really passionate about. So if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around and let's get into it. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the marketing and mindset show for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, and around here we go beyond pretty pictures and we get honest about what's working, what's not, and what it really takes to build better brands, better experiences, and better teams. You'll find creative ideas, practical strategies, and conversations that actually matter. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. So I would love it if you all could welcome Morgan Lurz. She is the president over at Cannonball Moments, and I am just so excited to have you here. Also, such a professional setup over there you guys have. So thank you so much for joining me, Morgan.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm sitting in Chad's chair today. I absolutely love it. Normally I'm over there and he's here, but I'm super grateful you asked for me to be on your show. Just super excited.
Yeah, no, I have been thinking about you for so long, and I love your everything you guys do with your podcast, and your clips on social media are so funny. I'm always like,
We
oh,
have some
that's a
fun.
Morgan clip. Like, I'm gonna watch it. So So I really appreciate you being here. I know we talked a little bit, obviously, before we filmed this, but I would love if you could do a little self-introduction, tell our audience where you came from, how you got to be at Cannonball, and just give a little background.
Awesome. I have been working for Cannonball for a little over 7 years. It was 7 years in October. And prior to that, I was actually in an industry that I absolutely loved and was in for 13 years, and it was the beer world. So I started in a local restaurant here that was a restaurant brewery. Gosh, back when I was in high school, I guess 18, and transitioned to college. And I worked my way up in that company to work for their corporate marketing side. And then when the owner decided to divide and do restaurant and production brewery, I went the brewery side. So I was with them for quite a long time. I managed a sales team, a large distributor, world, 8 states. And then I went on to work for a top 100 ranked company in the country, a brewery out of Michigan called Bell's Brewery. They were coming into the Maryland, Delaware market, and I was kind of looking for a change. And so I interviewed for the sales manager role for the States, and they hired me pretty much right away, which was awesome. And they were a phenomenal company to work for. I absolutely loved it. I loved my job. And then it just got to the point where I was like on a health journey and changing some of my habits. I was about to get married. And so, of course, I wanted to look my best on my wedding day. And I wanted to get out of the alcohol industry. And so I had said to my husband, I got to find something, but I didn't know what it was. I went to college and I wanted to be a broadcaster initially. And then, so I studied mass communications and marketing, but I didn't know where the change was going to take me. And 2 days after I had made this statement to my husband, I was at one of my largest accounts here in town where I live. And I ran into Chad, and I knew him as an acquaintance through my husband and we own a gym. And I knew him through that realm. And we bumped into each other, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" And talked a little bit about that. And then he was looking for a new director of operations. And he said, "I know you're connected. If you know anybody, send them my way or let me know." And I walked out that door with full excitement. You've got to be kidding me. Just 2 days ago, I said something about I need to find something else. And God certainly worked his way that day and put me in the right place at the right time. And so the rest is history. Here I am, 7.5 years later.
That's crazy. I love those moments where it's just like all the pieces just come together and you're like, oh wow, the universe just like totally came through for me just there, or God, or however you believe, but like it's just
Yes.
those
Yep.
moments are so incredible.
Yes, it was. I walked out that door and I called my husband immediately. I said, "You won't believe what just happened." So I went through a couple of interviews with him and some other people and came right on for Cannonball. And it's been great ever since.
Yeah. So what does your like day to day look like right now as president of Cannonball?
Yeah, it's certainly changed and evolved exponentially
Yeah.
over the last 7 years. Now I oversee our three entities. So we have Cannonball Moments, which is our sales and leadership coaching company. We have Cannonball Media, and then we also have a mystery shop company, a video shop company. So I oversee all three entities. And then I also have, as of recently, a little over a year ago, I took on a couple of clients myself. And so I've transitioned to also coaching, which has been a super fulfilling, courageous thing that I have done and I'm super proud of. But I have my hands in everything and I wear several hats. So if there's anything that needs involvement here, I am certainly touching it at some point.
Yeah. You are. You're very busy. You're in all the videos, you're in all the things. And I see women like you, especially on like social media, and it's like, how in the world are they doing all of these things? It's like there's just so much. And as also someone like running a business, I know that's like exhausting and there's so much happening, and I'm trying to balance my personal life and my family. So having you here to share all about these things, I think is going to be so helpful because I know there's a lot of women in the industry that is just right here in the same spot.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like from that story that you just shared, like there were a lot of these moments where you're like, I need to like make a huge change. Like
Mhm.
leaving like the beer industry and coming over to Cannonball, like that was a huge shift. Like what made you like feel confident to go ahead and make those changes and realize, yeah, no, this is the right move?
Initially, I don't know if confidence is the word I would use. I think it was more of there was certainly fear and there was
Mhm.
certainly of if this doesn't happen. But ultimately, I also knew if I didn't take the risk, the opportunity would be lost. And we say that here all the time at Cannonball, take the risk or lose the opportunity. And I think what so many people need today, and it's actually my word of the year, is courage. And I think people struggle to see that you have to lean in and step into being courageous and just have faith that you get out of what you put in. Like if you put into whatever opportunity you take the risk taking, if you fail, you learn from it and you move forward. But every risk is an opportunity. And I was certainly, I don't have another option at that part at that time. And so I jumped 2 feet in. I was like, listen, like you said it, the universe had my back that day. And I just believed. I was like, listen, we're going to take this leap of faith. And if it doesn't work out, I'll find something else. But I don't do anything small, really. It's give me a task or come up with an idea and I figure out how to get it done. And I
Yeah.
think the first 2 weeks, I'll be honest with you, the first 2 weeks I was like, oh no, what did I do? I had a month where I was like, okay, this might not have been the best choice. But it's like that transition period and the big shift of like change and all the new things and like trying to take a job that was previously somebody else's and make it your own. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, we just need to take a deep breath, give it some time. And yeah, so
I don't think anything that's like big and worth doing is going, you're going to feel ready for it. That's how I think about it. I'm like, if this is really worth doing, I'm probably going to be scared beforehand. And that means that it's something that's going to push me forward and I'm going to be better going through this or learning from this.
absolutely.
I was talking to someone yesterday actually, and she was sharing how like she wasn't happy in her position and she was trying to make this move and she wanted to change her kind of her whole career. And she was just like, I just feel like this is not my place anymore. And it was a really powerful conversation, but really what struck me was like how much fear there really was as a mom and as a woman as well. So it was like I've never felt like I was ready for this kind of a role, but that's where I really feel like I need to be. And it was so ironic because I knew we were having this conversation today, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this so connects. So as you're looking back, did you have any of those similar feelings and how did you work through that?
Really good question. So actually, so when I joined Cannonball, yeah, I had just become a stepmom. And so I didn't have a child of my own at the time. My kid just turned 5 in November. And so I didn't have full custody or full parental responsibilities at that time. And so that transition was certainly easier for me maybe than most, or somebody that does have that responsibility. But what I will say is over the last 5 years, I've really had to figure out how to manage such a high demanding job, or the travel and being home and being present with him and with my family, but also with myself. I know that what I do here at Cannonball supports my family, supports my child, my children, and it's like my why, it's my purpose. And I think it's super important. I don't think sometimes there's this misconception about if you're a mom, you can't be super successful, or somebody else has to take care of your child, or even if you're a dad. Like, I don't want to just say it's like a mom thing, because there are stay-at-home moms and there are stay-at-home dads. But I have a huge belief that you can get out of life whatever you want if you believe what you're capable of, if you have the courage and you take the leap and you lean into your worthiness and your capabilities and all the things you have to offer. And that's certainly something I've had to struggle with a lot. And Chad has coached me a ton on, and I'm totally blessed and grateful for his coaching. I take a step back, and we just did this as a team. We reviewed our 2025 and looked at our goals and reset for 2026. And I think there are areas of room for improvement. I had a great year last year when it came to my career. My love, my family and friends suffered, but when I say suffered, it was just like I didn't rate it on a high scale. And I'm like, there's certain areas of that part of my life that I could be more intentional with. And so I just take a step back. You give yourself awareness that if you're not getting awareness, somebody needs to make you aware. And then you have the choice of how to make it better. And I'm constantly thinking of ways to improve myself, ways to improve my family's lives, ways to improve my child's life, ways to improve Cannonball, ways to improve like my leadership capability with my team, with the people I have the opportunity to work with. And it all just, you figure it out, but you got to lean into it and have faith and courage to take that step and understand that like you prioritize what you value. And I don't think it needs to be black or white or work-life balance, or you get out of what you prioritize and what you value. And so I set my intentions and awareness around that and then attack.
Yeah, that you said something interesting too. And obviously working at Cannonball, like you have direct access with Chad all the time. And like obviously he's very busy, but like you're there next, yeah, in that environment. Like what role did having that mentorship play in supporting that like mindset shift for you? Because having that like really, really good mindset of like always improving, it really helps and it really clears a lot of that fog.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and something him and I talked about yesterday after I had the opportunity to work with somebody. And what I will tell you, and it's something that we don't think about a lot, is like analyzing the circles we're in, analyzing the people that surround us. And Chad, it's like people don't hire us because they want us to like love on them and be cuddly and warm and fuzzy. They hire us because they need a disruption and they need a different perspective. And so that's what he's done for me. And I will forever be grateful. And I always tell him, like, I wouldn't be here without you. And he's like, no, you did that yourself. He just facilitated a shift in my perspective and made me think different and see different. And I think that's the biggest part. And I think we should all take that away is evaluate your circles, evaluate who is in your life, because 90% of the time, the people that are in our lives are our family, our friends. They'll empathize with you. They'll support whatever frustration you have with, yeah, you're right. You're right. Instead of pushing back and questioning you to the point where you trip over your own truth that this is just the critic talking in your head. This is a story you're telling yourself. This isn't true. And you have the ability to, again, make a choice, make a change in your life. And he has done that. I can't even tell you how many times with me. And sometimes it is like infuriating and extremely frustrating and hard. And it is a conflicted conversation a lot of the times. I have never not been better from those conversations, but he is a pusher. He is a disruptor in my life. And that is 100% what I needed. And I think everybody needs a person or people in their life. And so what I would say right now is like evaluate your circles and who's actually helping you get better. because a lot of times we become complacent or comfortable and we're not stepping outside and being pushed by the people who love us because they're afraid to do that.
They're afraid to do it, or they just some of us are in circles where the people around us are not in the same space as us. So
Mhm.
like they can't like really give us advice or push us in that way because they're not in that same season of life or in that same career path or whatever. I found this like very similar, like having a network of people around me that get it, right? Like we're all here in the same world. That's so valuable. And like mentorship, I never like thought about it as being like that's so transformative, but it really is. Once you have
Mhm.
it, it's like you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, like how did I live before I had these people and like these mentors?
And the one thing I always say too, it's even with when I have sales conversations with people who want to work with us and I'm
Mhm.
trying to sell Cannonball, it's the common coach story. Do you have kids? Okay. Have you ever coached their team? My dad coached me my entire life growing up, soccer, softball. He was always a coach or he was right on the sideline. He was the first voice I'd hear. And trust me, there was times where I would yell at him, Dad, sit down, stop yelling at me. But it's the assistant coach, there's the outside voice of a different parent or a different whatever that comes in, may say the same exact cue or sales tactic or leadership tactic that your direct leader is saying, but it's that outside voice. And that's what people need in a mentor. They need somebody who provides a different perspective. And that's what we do here at Cannonball. Sarah, you could have your team and they hear you all the time. Let me come in and facilitate and ask questions, get them to see things differently. And you're like, I've been doing that. They just don't listen to me. And I'm like, it's not you. It's just sometimes they need an outside perspective or a different mentor to push them to see something else and see something that's been there all along. It's just changing either the person, the vernacular, or the perspective of the person we're working with.
Sometimes it's just like a shift in a word that they use, like that I would never think to use to describe this, but like that just turns a light bulb on. I see it a lot with my kids because I'm like, I've explained this to you, and then their teacher says it, and it's so simple, and they're just like, "Oh, mom, obviously," and I'm just like, "Yes, I'm so happy that you figured it out."
At least they're good for the teacher and listen to them and they don't listen to us, whatever. I always say if they're good here and they're horrible at home, like I'll deal with it. But as long as they're good for the people that, you know,
Yeah,
give them
I
access
know.
to.
But it's so funny because like I do a lot of coaching with my own team, and that happens regularly. We'll all go to Sherry or someone else in our company where I'm like, I'm having this like blockage, or like we're just not getting there. And they say something that's, oh, it's so simple. Okay, awesome. And
Mm,
that, but the having the ability to do that and having the resources to do that is such a privilege and such so powerful to
mm,
have a team like yours to come in and like really do that.
thank
How have
you.
you seen your like leadership change like over this kind of time period? And I feel like it connects back to like what we were talking with like mentorship, but however you've seen that shift.
Again, I had another conversation yesterday that relates to this. I struggled for a really long time thinking that I was worthy to sit at the table of many of the rooms I was in, whether it was exec teams or ownership. And I didn't really feel like I had anything to offer or anything to add or value to give. And with the help of Chad and with the help of him questioning me and with the help of just like me diving into myself this past year, my word of the year was self-love because we all do it, but we all give ourselves so much crap and we tell ourselves so many stories that just are not true and do not serve us at all. And it has gotten to the point where this week, actually, I traveled quite a bit this week in Texas. And for the first time, 2 days in a row, I was able to walk out of those team meetings with owners and presidents and their entire team and say, I am so incredibly proud of myself. I feel like I really showed up. I had the courage to walk through that door today with less fear, knowing that I was going to provide value and that I know so much more than I believe. And so it's sitting here and answering that question for you right now is certainly a moment for me because it's been really hard to admit that I've made that change and had that growth over the past year. And I do feel like I do deserve a seat at that table now. And I've worked for it. And I love myself for the transformation I've had over the last year. but I refuse to stop where I am. And always look for ways to improve. And I think that's key. I think you always, no matter where you are, no matter how many years you've been in it, you always have to be willing to evolve and take the next step and leap towards what's next. Yes, this has got me here, but there's always betterment on the other side of tomorrow.
It's a pause to celebrate the win and then keep going. I do think
Hmm.
people sometimes will get comfortable. They'll be like, oh, I've reached my goal and now this is where I'm going to be. And that's fine. But I feel like I'm more like you where I'm like, okay, but what's next? I do have
Hmm.
to remind myself sometimes to take that pause and to be like, okay, you met the goal. Let's celebrate this before we move on. But that's the fun of like life is always finding what's next. Like it's always an adventure.
Yeah. And I think separate from goals, when I think leadership specifically, you could always improve your leadership skills. You
Yeah.
can ask questions differently. You can push people in a different way depending on their personality, or I just feel like there's always something to work on no matter how perfect you feel like that conversation was. It's, oh, I probably could have said this different, or I probably could have asked that question differently. And I had that same exact conversation yesterday with Chad on recapping, reflecting on my day with my client, and I'm like, God, you're so right. That's the next step to, okay, you've gotten this far. Now the next step in the evolution of your leadership, this is the next piece of it to
Mhm.
evolve. So it's not necessarily like for me a goal. Certainly, I
Mhm.
have personal goals and stuff that I do exactly what you just said. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yes, I crushed it, but like now let's go. But as far as leadership, it's like, everything's always changing. So you have to be willing to evolve and change with it and improve.
There's always new, like you said, like new ways to communicate things. And then also there's like you're working on yourself. And I feel like working on yourself to be a leader, like it is so important. And it's not just like new tactics that I'm trying to learn to be a better leader. That's important too, but that's only half of the story. There's also this whole self-development side because that self-doubt that you have and everyone has, like those things, it changes how you interact with the people around you. And
Hmm.
like you can't share about your growth if you haven't done it yet.
Exactly. That's why my word last year was self-love, because I didn't love myself first, which sounds so egotistical, but I don't mean it like that. Like I didn't feel like I deserved the seat or that I could walk into a room with confidence, or, and it was all this self-doubt that I just built up in my head that just, I had to push it away. And I still have it on my wrist right now because I haven't gotten my word this year yet, but I still wear it as a reminder.
Yeah. It's funny, self-love, just for me personally, like I really struggled with that too, because people are like, oh, you should need to be nicer to yourself. And I'm like, okay, awesome. So what do I do though?
Yeah,
I'm
what's
like,
that look like?
yeah, what's the action? Like, how do I do that? And I'm like, okay, like I get massages, like self-love, check. And they're like, no, that's not
Love
what
that.
we.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So I,
self-care. I
yeah,
like
that's
that too.
self-care. Yes, yes, which I love my massages, but
Yeah.
I've really struggled with trying to figure out like what does loving yourself actually mean? And what do you do? So
Yeah.
how
I
would,
mean, for how would somebody act on it?
yeah.
I think a lot of the times it's you got to shift the narrative. And then you have to be courageous. You got to walk into rooms and know that your purpose and your path put you there. And for me, it was like accepting the fact that I do know more than I give myself credit for. And I do add value to people's lives. And of course, I get paid, right? There's the commission, the financial side of it, but there's the mission side. And I really do feel like the work that we do and the opportunity that I have individually with my teams that I work with is so impactful and fulfilling. And to be able to be a part of each individual's life, I had to take a step back and be like, oh my gosh, it was really hard for me to overcome. But the more reps I did, the more confidence. So it's like the more data you have to back up your success. No matter how many times, if I go back and question it right now, I know I have to go back and check the data. And the data is going to show, like, Morgan, how many times have you walked into that room and they value, they call you, they pick up the phone, they're texting you, like, hey, do you have 5 minutes? And I'm like, okay, all right, psh, get rid of that. Like, it's not accurate. And they've started to get quieter. Those thoughts have started to get quieter. I have seen a shift in my confidence level. And it's just, then it's, okay, what's the next evolution of that look like? And so I'm always curious. We say certainty is the killer of curiosity. And so I'm always curious. I'll hang up from a call and I'll say, hey, I need some advice on this, or I need to be coached on this. I'm always willing to learn more and take things to the next level.
So it's about like self-reflection and like looking back
Mhm.
and giving yourself feedback, but also being nice to yourself. Be like telling yourself like, yeah, you did a great job and you deserve to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to stop the negative stuff. And that's what I had to come down to, was like all the negative things that I was telling myself that just were not accurate. And you need people in your life to call you out on it and say, hey, you just said it again. Or
Yeah.
if I ever said it, my husband's really good at it. And he's, we don't say that. Or what was that? And I was like, oh, never mind. Let me just change it. And so there's a lot of that going on, but it just takes time. And you have
Yeah.
awareness. Once you have awareness, then you have the choice to change things. So,
Yes. Yeah. The awareness is for sure the first step. It's funny, this kind of like segues into our next section, but I always think about like when I'm doing that kind of work and I'm like teaching myself basically how to speak to my own self. I think about my kids and I'm like, when I hear them talking bad about themselves or about their skills, like I'm right there to be like, no, that's not how we'd say that. And my oldest daughter, she's 10 and she has just convinced herself that she's bad at math. And she says it all the time. I'm terrible at math. So this is going to suck. And we've really been working on that. But I realize as I'm trying to coach her, like I'm coaching myself. And I'm like, I say those things. It's just in my own head. And it's, oh, you can't do that, or no one's going to care. So
mm,
I do feel like as I'm improving, I'm also able to improve like the coaching that I give to my family and everything. And really connect a lot of what I do professionally as how I can be better for my family as well. So I'd love to hear like from you, like how being a mother has shaped the way you think about like your success and your ambition, and how do those kind of coincide for you?
yeah. First, I just want to tell you, we have a rule in our house, and you can't say the word can't. Can't say can't. My son Jackson will call me out. Now, it's so funny because he will, he'll be like, hey, mom, can you fix this toy or whatever? And I'll be like, I can't. He's like, you don't say that. I'm like, this is a different circumstance. Go get your dad. I don't know how to fix this thing. But it's so good to your point. Like the words are so important and the things they say to themselves. And the other day he said, Mom, I can't. And it was reading. I can't read. And I said, we will work on reading. Let's figure it out. Anyways, that was a side tangent just because I respect what you're talking about and you're so right. We learn from it. And I love when they actually start coaching us back. It's so great. What a gift. So, to your question, yeah, I know as much as like, when I'm on FaceTime at night and I'm in another state somewhere around the country and I'm talking to Jackson, he's like, when are you home? And I'll be like, oh, I'll be home tomorrow. And he's like, but I want you home right now. Like he is sad in that moment. And it's sure, it pulls my mama heart so much. But I know that the work ethic that I have and the determination and everything I do for my family, he will recognize that one day. And it's not that he doesn't right now, but I think he also like relates, oh, mom's in an airport. She's going to bring home a treat or a toy. And that is also my fault. But guys, there's some mom guilt that I just give into. But I want him to see one, what success looks like, but I want him to know that it takes hard work and it takes certain sacrifices, but you can still be an amazing mom and an amazing president of a company, and you can still create the life you want and have all of these things. I want him to see me do that. Like that to me is so incredibly important because I want him to have the same values and do the same thing as he continues to age. Like you're not just going to be given things, you got to work for it. We don't accept entitlement. And everything I do, I try to make sure, and it's not that I talk about it, but it's
Mhm.
the action. Like, what are my actions doing? What am I showing him? And I show up. Let me tell you, I will be the first to tell you that, and I'll give Chad a ton of respect and kudos to this too, is like he is incredibly generous with his time, with his money. And if I need to go to a school play, which I did around Christmas, it's go do what you got to do. Be present when you need to be present. And it's amazing. And so I think that's really important is you got to show up for your kids, but you got to also show them how you show up for yourself in all areas of your life.
Yeah, I just could not agree more. And as a mom of girls, I feel like it's even different for me. I'm like, I want them to see that women can own businesses and be powerful and be in these rooms And I'm just crossing my fingers because all of us as parents, we're just doing this for the first time. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
hoping, but that's my goal is to like show them that this is possible. And, but also, like you said, like not sugarcoat it. Like I'm not trying to hide when I have a bad day. It's, yeah, this stuff happened. It was really hard. I'm really tired. Like sharing honestly with them too is
Yeah.
how I do that.
Yeah, because then you can show them how you overcome it. And not every day is going to be rainbows and butterflies, but the obstacles we face in life show us resilience and teach us how to continue to show up. And when we're in the ditch and we're struggling, again, you have the choice to get out of it. And your kids they need to see it all because they can't think that it's all good and easy. And yeah, she works really hard. She never has any issues. They need to see all areas of it because they need to understand that every part of that journey is important. It takes a different mental capacity every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I think too, going back to what you were saying earlier, it's not always equal. Like I'm not always putting all of myself into work and then all of myself. It can't be 100% everywhere. And giving yourself that permission too of, okay, like today my family needs me and that's where I'm going to put my focus. And tomorrow it's going to be work or whatever. And giving yourself permission and like forgiveness for that, I think, for at least for myself, like I have to just be like, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For you and for your girls to see that, they're going to respect you. And even if they don't understand right now, they will. They will because you are creating a life of abundance for them. And your hard work is going to show them, yeah, mom did this. Mom did it. I can do it. It's going to show them so many things. And so every time you show up for your business and you show up for them or you show up for yourself, it's teaching them all different things.
Fingers crossed that's that you're right. I'm right.
It will
I think
happen.
we're on the right path. So
And
what do you
if
think?
not, we'll coach them and figure it out. I don't know.
That's right. How do you decide on, so I go through a little mental checklist with myself when I'm like deciding, okay, which sacrifice feels worth it, right? Am I sacrificing at work? Am I sacrificing at family? And like sometimes it feels like you have to sacrifice somewhere. So how do you like make that feel worth it? How do you decide which sacrifices to make?
That's a hard one. I don't know if I have a ton of like awareness around it. I guess I do. What's the risk I'm taking and what's the opportunity?
Hmm.
And I think I look more into, okay, there might be more sacrifice right now on the family side, but the opportunity in the long term is much bigger. And I think, honestly, I think that's what it is. It's what's the opportunity that I'm faced with. There are certain things where I just draw the line, like I always need to be a part of when it comes to family. And I think everybody has that
Yeah.
to a certain extent, depending on how they parent or how their family interacts. But I think when I make my sacrifice choice, it's just, it's opportunity. What does it mean for both sides?
Yeah.
And then you just got to make a choice. And
Yeah.
you're not always going to be right, but
Yeah, that's where that like self-love comes in. It's okay that you're not always 100% right. Like you said, like learning the journey of learning and showing your kids and your family and even the people that you work with that, oh yeah, I did that and here's how I'm going to do it different next time. That's also powerful.
that's exactly right. Yeah. And if this wasn't the right choice or right decision this time, it's understanding how did I get there and what would I do differently next time?
Yeah, just learn from it and keep going. I feel like this has been such a good conversation. I always save my hardest questions for last. So if you thought those questions were hard, the hard one's really coming. So my last question for you is if you were to speak to like women in this industry and professional women out there, what would you say to them when they're like feeling like they're not capable or they're holding themselves back? Like what would be the one thing that you would want them to hear from you today?
Yeah. Be courageous. Know that you are worthy of any room you walk into and step into it with confidence. Know that your worth is there and that for me speaking, I'm saying this to myself, but more than you think you do. And so lean into courage, step into it. And on the flip side, what's the worst that can happen? That's why I try to remind myself, like, what's the worst that can happen? And it's such a great question because then you really, it's, oh, it's this. But then are all these other things going to happen? No. So just do it.
I always remind myself, like, I've handled everything that's happened to me so far. Why would I think
Hmm.
I couldn't handle this? And
Yeah.
it's still scary, but that at least helps. It's like I can handle whatever comes at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Morgan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I really love this conversation. I think a lot of this, like, I really needed to hear today. I think that that courage thing is something that so many women, like, we just need the reminder, because I think women are incredible. I think that we are all out here being courageous every single day, but like having reminders like this and seeing women like yourself, where it's like from the outside, you look like you have it all together and you're a president and you're just like, you're so big in the industry. And to hear, oh yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
like I still have self-doubt. It's really humbling. And I just really appreciate you sharing everything with me today.
Thank you. I'm glad I look like I have it together. There are certain days where I'm running around with my head cut off, but no, I'm super grateful. This has been awesome. I am so grateful for you. It's been awesome getting to know you through all this. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And if anybody out there that's listening would like to connect with you, what would be the best place for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, perfect. So cannonballmoments.com or Morgan at Cannonball Moments is my email. I am on LinkedIn, so that's a great place too. And Instagram is personal and professional. There's a little bit of my personal life, a lot of professional stuff on there. That's where you see a lot of our videos. That's Morg0127 on Instagram.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to put all those links down below. And thank you again.
Thank
Everybody
you.
that's listening, thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Please reach out to Morgan. Please like this podcast. Follow me wherever you're hearing this. We're on YouTube, on Instagram, Spotify, wherever you hear podcasts. So find me wherever. It really helps me. And I just appreciate all of your guys' time. So thank you, everyone. And we will see you in our next episode. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Sarah.